All right, guys, so let's just talk about special right triangles, which we learned on, what day was it? It was Friday. So let's just talk about these. So first, if you look on your packet on page 8, at the top of the packet, there is this chart and another one. And so I'm going to do those two for you today, just to remind you about what's going on here. And we had labeled, I'm going to use this diagram on the right-hand side. We had labeled your special right triangles. We had said opposite each of the 45, for this one, 45, 45, 90. We had x, x, and this hypotenuse would be x root 2, based on that pattern that we had observed. Okay, so these are all different problems. This is problem 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, going down like columns. So if we look at our triangle over here, using our first number that they have given us, which is 3 for J, right? That would make K exactly the same, 3. And that would make H 3 root 2, following that pattern. Okay, number 2. They have told us that K is 1/2. So this side right here is 1/2. That makes J the same exact value, so 1/2. And that makes H, that value, 1/2 times root 2. So that's like 1/2 root 2. Okay. All right, number 3. Next one. They have told us that K is root 2. So this side is root 2. If K is root 2, then J is exactly the same. It's root 2. And H, this one's a little tricky. It's going to be root 2, that's x, times root 2. That's already there. So root 2 times root 2 is root 4. And what's the square root of 4? Square root of 4 is 2. All right. Let's keep on going. Number 4. So we've got J. Here we're told H is 8. So now we're starting off over here with this side. This side is 8. All right, so this is the time when it's complicated, when we're given that hypotenuse. So 8 is x root 2, according to our little equation that we wrote right here. To solve for x, I'm going to divide by root 2. Okay, so this would tell me, according to this, that x is 8 over root 2. All right, you might remember, but we're not allowed to leave this radical in the denominator. We have to do something called rationalizing it. So that means I'm going to take this denominator, exactly the radical as it appears, multiply top and bottom by that number. When we do that, we get 8 root 2 over root 2 times root 2, which we just said, that was root 4, or 2. Okay, one more simplifying. 8 divided by 2, that is just 4. So we've got 4, and we still have that root 2 there, 4 root 2. So this is 4 root 2. That's what x is, and both sides that are x are j and k. So that's 4 root 2. All right, one last one. You can hit pause if you need to see that. All right, last one that we're looking at is this number 5, where they tell us that h, the hypotenuse, is now root 6. All right, once again, this is a little bit tricky. So they have told us that x root 2 is root 6. Okay, we want to divide root 2. Okay. Now, the good thing about this is, we've got this, x is root 6 over root 2. Now, we learned that if you're taking the square root in the top and bottom, you can take square root of the whole fraction. And what's the square root of 6 over 2? Well, 6 over 2 is 3, so this is just root 3. If x is root 3, then this side and this side are both root 3. Okay, moving on to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are problems about a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. Let me label that one. We said opposite the 30. Always find that 30. Across from that is x. Across from 90, or the hypotenuse, is 2x. And across from 60 is x root 3. All right, so number 5. They go ahead and they just tell us that P, or the side across from the 30, is 5. So this is 5. That makes this side 2 times that number. 2 times x, so 2 times x is 10. Ooh, I put it in the wrong place. That's the r side, that's the hypotenuse side. 2 times 5, which is 10. Let me rewrite that. And q across from the 60 is x root 3. X is 5, so that's 5 root 3. All right, next problem. Let's get rid of all that. Okay, so number 7, they told us that q, this side right here, is 3 root 3. Well, that means x root 3, which tells us that x is 3. And if x is 3, then 2 times x has to be 6. So x is 3, and for some reason I wrote 5. X is 3, and this is 3 times 2, or just 6. All right, next one. Get rid of this. Number 8, they have told us that r, or the hypotenuse, is 20. So 20 is 2 times x, which means that x has to be 10, half of that. And that tells us that q has to be that number times root 3, so 10 root 3. All right, moving on, number 9. P, they have now told us, is 2 root 3. So this side is 2 root 3. That represents x. So to get q, I have to take that number, 2 root 3, that's x, and times it by root 3. Okay, so 2 times root 3 times root 3. We still have the 2. And root 3 times root 3 is root 9, which is just 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. All right, let's look at r. r is 2 times x. So 2 times 2 root 3. Numbers on the outside multiply, so 2 times 2 is 4. And nothing's changing that radical, it's still root 3. All right, last problem. Ooh. Okay, last problem for P. We are told that r is 6 root 6. So this number right here, r, so is 6 root 6. Okay, so that represents 2 times x. So half of that, if I divide that by 2, right, if I divide it by 2, basically that's what we're doing. Half of 6 is 3. So 3 root 6 is going to be our side, our x side, our p side right there. All right, finally, q is this number, 3 root 6, times root 3, right? That's coming from there, root 3. So 3 times root 6 times 3 is root 18, because that's what 6 times 3 is. And I can actually simplify this. 18 is 9 times 2. So this is the square root of 9 times 2, just like we simplified radicals. Square root of 9 comes as 3, and 2 is stuck behind. So this is really 3 times 3 root 2, and 3 times 3 is 9 root 2. That's our answer, 9 root 2. All right, feel free to pause this, rewind this, look at all those problems, make sure you're okay with them. When you are done checking these problems, you need to complete page 9 in your packet. That is your homework, and I will see you tomorrow.